Chuck Norris is universally celebrated as the ultimate symbol of strength, a martial arts champion, and a Hollywood action icon. Over decades, his stoic presence, deep voice, and signature mustache have become instantly recognizable, inspiring admiration and countless memes that jokingly immortalize his invincibility. But behind the public image lies a story of struggle, fear, and perseverance. From a childhood marked by violence and poverty to years of rejection in both military and civilian life, Chuck's journey reveals a man forged not only by skill, but by the pain he endured. The path to becoming a cultural legend was shaped by battles unseen by fans, a narrative of survival, discipline, and relentless determination that transformed a frightened boy into a global icon. A troubled childhood in Oklahoma. Born Carlos Ray Norris on March 10, 1940, in Ryan, Oklahoma, Chuck's early years were dominated by fear and instability. His father, Ray Norris, was a violent alcoholic whose rage left scars that no trophies or accolades would later erase. His mother, Wilma, worked tirelessly but had little power to shield her children from abuse. Chuck grew up alongside his younger brothers, learning early how to become invisible, shrinking away from danger while navigating relentless poverty. School offered no reprieve. The shy, anxious boy was overlooked, invisible in a world where survival was the only certainty. Constantly moving due to his father's instability, Chuck internalized a deep sense of inadequacy. Early exposure to violence and neglect left him questioning his worth, setting the stage for the emotional and physical battles that would define his life. Escaping to the Air Force. At 18, Chuck sought escape rather than ambition by joining the United States Air Force. Military life promised distance from his father's oppressive household but delivered its own challenges. Stationed at Osan Air Base in South Korea, he faced isolation, cultural adjustment, and continued insecurity. Despite his uniform, he felt invisible, carrying the echoes of his father's criticism in every moment of doubt. Letters to his mother went unsent, and every day reinforced his sense of inadequacy. Yet this environment also provided the unexpected opportunity for transformation. Walking the streets of Osan, he encountered a Korean martial arts school that would redirect the course of his life, presenting a path to personal discipline, self-mastery, and the first real glimmers of confidence. Discovering martial arts. Chuck's introduction to Tang Soo Do was transformative. At first intimidated and clumsy, he struggled with basic movements and coordination. Unlike the violence he knew at home, this training emphasized patience, respect, and personal growth. The Korean master's insistence on persistence over innate talent taught Chuck that discipline could replace fear and self-doubt. Each class was a confrontation with his own limitations, each correction a lesson in resilience. Over time, his body began to respond, his confidence grew, and the boy who had learned invisibility became a man capable of mastery. Martial arts became more than fighting. It was a philosophy and a form of self-expression, offering him a language through which he could reclaim agency over a life long defined by fear. Return to America and early struggles. By 1962, Chuck returned to the United States with a black belt, but his skills were largely unrecognized. Martial arts were unfamiliar and undervalued, leaving him invisible once again. Married to Diane Holacek and working menial jobs, he confronted the stark reality that mastery alone could not create opportunity. Nights spent practicing in narrow hallways were as much about maintaining self-belief as refining technique. His commitment reflected a deeper need. To prove his existence mattered to himself and the world. The challenges of establishing a livelihood while nurturing his craft emphasized the enduring tension between survival and ambition. Despite setbacks, Chuck's dedication never wavered, and he began quietly building the foundation for a future career rooted in discipline and perseverance. Building a martial arts legacy. In 1964, Chuck opened his first karate school in Torrance, California, facing initial failure and near abandonment. Students were slow to arrive, skeptical of his credibility, yet Chuck applied the lessons of Tang Soo Do with intensity, valuing discipline, respect, and persistence over flair. Gradually, his reputation grew, and his methods resonated. By the late 1960s, tournament success transformed him from a quietly dedicated instructor to a national figure in competitive martial arts. Between 1968 and 1974, he became a 6-time world middleweight karate champion, earning respect from peers and enthusiasts. Yet, even at the height of his martial arts career, Chuck confronted an existential challenge. Triumph in a niche field did not guarantee recognition or financial stability. Mastery had brought him skill, but not the validation he longed for, setting the stage for Hollywood as the next proving ground. Hollywood beginnings and Bruce Lee. Transitioning from martial arts to acting proved difficult. Despite his championship record, Hollywood initially dismissed Chuck as stiff and uncharismatic. Repeated auditions ended in rejection, leaving him questioning his choices. In 1968, Bruce Lee recognized Chuck's talent and invited him to train and spar, forming a bond that changed everything. Their friendship was rooted in respect and mutual discipline, and Lee became the mentor who believed in Chuck's potential when Hollywood did not. Cast as the antagonist in Lee's Way of the Dragon, Chuck gained global attention through the iconic Coliseum fight scene. While the triumph was bittersweet due to Lee's untimely death in 1973, it validated Chuck's capabilities and provided the breakthrough he had been striving toward, merging martial skill with cinematic presence. Rise to action stardom. Following Bruce Lee's death, Chuck faced grief while slowly establishing himself in low-budget action films, gaining comfort and confidence on camera. The late 1970s saw him build a steady career, culminating in widespread recognition during the 1980s through films like The Octagon, Lone Wolf McQuade, and the Missing in Action trilogy. Chuck carved a unique identity in Hollywood, distinct from contemporaries like Stallone or Schwarzenegger. His appeal combined authentic martial skill with a stoic, principled persona. Audiences were drawn not only to his physical abilities, but to the sense of discipline and moral conviction he projected. His success reflected the intersection of perseverance, authenticity, and opportunity, a validation of decades spent overcoming fear, invisibility, and doubt. Walker, Texas Ranger and cultural icon. In 1993, Walker, Texas Ranger, cemented Chuck's status as a cultural icon. The series' moral clarity, martial arts action, and consistency resonated with audiences worldwide. For 8 seasons, Chuck portrayed Cordell Walker, embodying honor, justice, and strength in a character who was both heroic and approachable. The show's popularity expanded globally, translated into multiple languages, and cemented Chuck's place in pop culture. Financially, the show brought wealth and stability, yet the demanding schedule, extensive travel, and production intensity imposed personal sacrifices. Despite fame and fortune, he grappled with the pressures of sustaining success while nurturing family relationships. His professional triumph was thus accompanied by familiar tensions between ambition, recognition, and personal well-being, the legacy of humor and memes. In the 2000s, the internet transformed Chuck into a global phenomenon through Chuck Norris facts. These hyperbolic jokes celebrated his perceived invincibility, blending humor with admiration. The meme culture introduced Chuck to new generations, extending his influence beyond films and television. He embraced the phenomenon with humility and amusement, recognizing it as both a tribute and a continuation of his legacy. The memes highlighted the intersection of celebrity and myth-making, solidifying his image as both a formidable action star and a playful cultural symbol. While exaggerated and fictional, the jokes underscored Chuck's enduring impact on popular culture, reinforcing the duality of his persona as both real-life warrior and mythic figure.